Oh my goodness, have you guys, have you seen the new leaks for Super Charged Breaker or Super Electric Breaker, whatever you want to call it? A couple days ago, they dropped the leaks for the new Milotic SAR, which looks absolutely amazing. It lines up really well with the Phoebus AR, which also got released. It looks so cool, like the Gimme Ghoul Golden Go line from Paradox Rift. It looks really, really cool. And then they also released the leak for the Pikachu SAR, and it's kind of like a split. You either love it or you don't like it. In my own personal opinion, I think it looks pretty slapping. Like, I think it looks really cool. It's one of those situations where less is more. I think it's going to look absolutely top shelf in person. But I am also open to opinions. Obviously, your guys' opinion is just as important as mine. So you can let me know in the comment section down below what you think. This morning, Pokebeats dropped the leak for the new Vivillon. I don't even remember how to pronounce that one. The Moth. Vivillon AR, Super Electric Breaker. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And this is all going to lead into Surging Sparks, which is the next main series set. And these leaks are really helping me plug the CorrosioShop.com. So we do have Super Electric Breaker booster boxes on pre-order right now. You can go over to CorrosioShop.com, place your pre-order for a booster box, $49.99. $12 will get you a sealed case, $49.99 for a loose box. I just wanted to plug that in there. But we're going to talk about something completely different and super unrelated. I didn't want to show any of the breaks or any of the leaks because honestly, like, that's just, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. Sometimes people just like to wait for the set to be released and open up stuff on their own and then be pleasantly surprised. And I think that's awesome. Like, you should definitely do that. But we're going to talk about a completely different set. Not anything to do, nothing to do with Surging Sparks whatsoever. We're going to talk about a set that just seems to continue to fly under the radar and overperform, and it's doing extremely well, and that's Shrouded Fable. And we're not talking about doing well from a sealed standpoint, because let's face it, the sealed products of Shrouded Fable are dirt cheap, and that makes it more advantageous to open because the set itself is actually really, really good. Now, I know a lot of people are kind of back and forth on it, and it's a smaller set. It is a half set, so it's a specialty set. I feel like they probably could have just combined Stellar Crown and Shrouded Fable and just skipped the half set for this time of year, but they didn't. We had Shrouded Fable, which was a really cool set. I really like the artwork. I like the color schemes. The ETB is an absolute banger. I love the black, the purple, the green. Really gives you kind of that Halloween feel. Super, super cool. It's got some amazing special illustration mirrors in the set and illustration mirrors. That Persian is dynamite. The Houndoom is great. The Duskull, Dusclops, Dusknoir line is fantastic. And then you also have this gold line, the Hyper Rares with the Earthen Vessel, which is obviously probably the most playable card right now in standard Pokemon play. But Shrouded Fable, the prices for single Pokemon cards are doing extremely well. So we're going to look at that and determine whether or not it's actually advantageous to open the set or not. Because opening packs of Pokemon cards is a lot of fun, but let's face it, it's not always the best decision to do financially. A lot of times it makes more sense just to buy singles. So what we did is we correlated pull rates with the average value and what you can expect to pull out of your booster pack of Shrouded Fable based off of averages. So I really like putting this data out there so that way you know kind of what your target price point is when buying booster packs or when buying products that contain Pokemon card booster packs. But we're going to start out just kind of looking at the double rares right here. And there's not too many of them in the set. You're only looking at about 7 of them, and for the most part 6 of them are all basically bulk pricing, even though a card like Pecharunt is extremely playable and has done really well in Ancient Box, not just at the World Championships, but even after that at Dortmund Regionals, at the regional that happened on the East Coast, and it'll probably do fairly well in Louisville next weekend as well, but everything's pretty much bulk except for Fezandipiti, which continues to do extremely well. This is a very splashable card. Some people aren't totally happy with the card in the format. They think it might be a little bit toxic, but not as toxic as probably the Dusknoir line. But Fezandipiti doing extremely well right now, continues to be a double-digit card. And when we talk about pull rates and we talk about opening up a Pokemon card set, one of the things we really like to look at is the ancillary pulls. So the cards that are a little bit more easy to pull than the SIRs, the illustration rares, the cards that you might see pop up a little bit more. And with pull rates being very strong on that double rare category, the regular art EXs, a card like Fezandipiti is going to show up a lot more than what you're going to see like an SIR or an Earthen Vessel Hyper Rare, or even that Dusknoir illustration rare. So this card continuing to sell for about $10 because of how good it is in competitive play. Now, I don't think it's going to continue at that price point, especially as as more and more Shrouded Fable gets opened. So if you do have extra copies of this Fezandipiti, now's probably the time that you want to trade these off. Maybe go to your local league, get some store credit, trade them off to some people who are actually using them if you're not using them. If you want to get into competitive play, which I highly recommend you doing, having some Fezandipiti lying around is obviously going to be a very, very good idea, because it is a very splashable card. It is a very playable card. If we look at the ace specs, nothing that really stands out here. There's not really any ace specs in existence right now outside of Prime Catcher that are worth quite a bit of value. And Prime Catcher, here's a tidbit of information for you. Prime Catcher is going to get reprinted. It is going to come out in that Charizard battle deck that we are expecting within the next couple of months here, really within the next month. So if you have extra Prime Catchers lying around, now is the time to really offload those, move those, whether you have a TCG player account or an eBay account, or like I said before, trading them off to people at local leagues, or even just online, people who actually play the game competitively. That's a $27 card in value, and that's going to decrease substantially as soon as that Charizard battle deck comes out. But the ace specs in this set, just Dangerous Laser, Neutralization Zone, and Poke Vital A, those are basically just $1 card. So nothing that really stands out over there. If we scroll down and look at the illustration rares themselves, again, not a huge set, a little bit more than what we saw in Stellar Crown, but if you look, all of them, for the most part, are doing extremely well, with the exception of like a handful. So we were talking about this the other day about what the best Scarlet and Violet set to open is as far as illustration rares go. And as we were going through set by set, just the main series sets, we were seeing several sets that had some illustration rares which were selling for $1 or $2. Shrouded Fable only has one that is selling for $3 and nothing below that. So Tapu Bulu currently selling for $3. Then you've got the Q-Font and the Fracture selling for $4. Those are the only 3 cards that are worth less than $5 when it comes to the illustration rare category, which is absolutely amazing. Then you've got the Beware at $5, the Okie Dokie, and the Fezandipiti at $5. But look at how many of the double-digit pricing cards you have when it comes to value. Now, pull rates for Shrouded Fable may not seem ideal, but you're still getting approximately the same amount per booster box when it comes to the illustration rare category. You're still getting about 3 for every 36 packs, so 1 out of every 12 packs. Unfortunately, that means you could open up an Elite Trainer box and get nothing because you only get 9 packs in an Elite Trainer box. But if you open up 12 packs, you should get 1. So the Houndoom doing extremely well, selling for $21. You've got the Horsey at $10. The Duskull, like I said, that entire line right there, because of how competitive it is, continuing to do extremely well. The Duskull at $25. The Dusclops at $17. And the most expensive illustration rare in this set, the Dusknoir, currently selling for $28. Then you've got $10 in value on the Cresselia, $12 in value on the Monkey Dory. You've got $7 in value on the Zorua, and that beautiful looking Persian continuing to do well. That one's currently selling for $23. If we scroll over a little bit and look at the ultra rare category, nothing really that stands out. Unfortunately, it's pretty much all bulk pricing with the exception of a few. You have Colress's Tenacity selling for $5, Janine's Secret Art, Cassiopeia, and Petrunt EX. Those are all selling for $3. You do have that Fezandipiti, again, because of how playable it is in competitive play, selling for about $15 right now. Everything else, basically bulk pricing. You're only looking at a couple dollars a piece for each of those. As we scroll down and look at the special illustration rares, those doing a little bit better. So you've got the Okie Dokie selling at $24, the Monkey Dory selling at $17, and the Petrunt selling for $26. And then you've got a couple of bigger hitters, like the Cassiopeia still hanging on at $50, well off of where it started out at. Remember, it started out at about $100, so it's lost about half of its value. But you're still looking at $50 for that one, which isn't bad. And the Fezandipiti, which started out really close to that $100 mark, also is down to about $57. But again, very strong as far as averages go for those special illustration rares. The Hyper Rares also doing extremely well. And this is really the only set where you're seeing gold energy cards selling for double digits at all, much less over $20 a piece. So you've got the Petrunt EX Hyper Rare selling for $23. The most expensive card in the set right now has been taken over by that Earthen Vessel, that gold card selling for $61 right now, which is very, very strong. Power Glass selling for $16. And like I said before, these two energy cards, you do not see energy cards of the gold standard selling for these prices anymore because they have been reprinted and recycled so many times. But because of pull rates being a little bit more difficult, the Darkness Energy selling for $27 and the Metal Energy selling for $23. So those are very strong values associated with these hyper rares. Part of it is really just because a lot of people haven't been opening up Shrouded Fable. They've they've been focusing on Stellar Crown, or probably saving their money for the upcoming sets like the Surging Spark sets that's coming out in November, Teresteral Festival, which is coming out in January. That's going to feature a bunch of evolutions. Then in March, we've got the owner set, which is going to feature like Lily's Clefairy and a bunch of other stuff. And then the Rocket set in May. I think a lot of people were like, well, this is too much right now. We're going to open up a little bit of Stellar Crown, maybe chase that Terapagos, that Squirtle, maybe chase that Bulbasaur, but we're not going to worry too much about Shrouded Fable. And because of that, it's doing extremely well. So if we break this down and figure out what our average is per booster box sample size. So we always like to look at things from a booster box sample size, about 36 packs, even though you can't buy a booster box of Shrouded Fable, right? It only comes in ancillary products like Elite Trainer boxes, booster bundles, and then you've got those different variants, various collection boxes and pin collections, things like that. Your average double rares, you're still getting about 6 per booster box, so 1 out of every 6 packs. Your average price point, only about $3.33. Obviously, if you pull the Fezandipiti, you're better than that, but if you don't pull the Fezandipiti, you're only looking basically at bulk prices. You do get about 6 of them per box. That means on average, your booster box worth of sample size, 36 packs, is going to yield you about $20.22. If we look at the A-Specs, it's pretty easy with this one. You're only getting about $2.07 per booster box because they're only worth about $1 a piece. It takes you about 17 packs to pull one A-Spec. Since they're all worth $1, you're only looking at about $2.07 worth of value associated with the A-Specs. When it comes to those ultra rares, those full arts, you're looking at an average price point of about $3.90. Again, very much impacted by that Fezandipiti, which is selling for about $15. Everything else is $2, $3. A couple of them sitting there at around $5. Your average price point, $3.90. You get 2.57 of them per booster box, or about 1 out of every 14 packs. That means your average value per booster box sample size is about $10.03. Your illustration rares, this is where Shrouded Fable is set apart from a lot of the other Scarlet and Violet sets. Your illustration rares has a very strong average price point of $11.93, and you don't have anything really in this set that's super skewing this data, like what you do with Paldea Evolved and that Magikarp, or like what you do with Paradox Rift and that Groudon, or even Stellar Crown, which is very much impacted by the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur. Really, you just have a handful of cards that are selling for above $20, another handful of cards which are selling for the low teens, and then a handful of cards that are selling for single digits. So it all averages out to about $11.93 as an average price point per card. You get about 3 of them per booster box, 2.93, 1 out of every 12 packs. That means on average your booster boxes are going to contain about $34.94 worth of value, which is again very, very strong. Your special illustration rares, you get 0.54, 1 out of every 67 packs. So very much similar to what we've experienced in Stellar Crown, in Temporal Forces, and in Twilight Masquerade. Your average price point on those is about $34.80. That means on average your booster box is going to contain about $18.64 worth of value out of your special illustration rares. For your hyper rares, forget about it, 0.25, 1 out of every 4 booster boxes, 144 packs. Your average price point, very strong, $30, obviously impacted a little bit by that Earthen Vessel, but the only ones you really, I mean, you have a few of them that are below $30. Obviously, the Petrarant, the Power Glass, in both energies, but not too far below $30. Your average value per booster box is about $7.50. So if you add all this up, you're looking at about $93.40 worth of value out of just your ultra rares. However, the great thing about Shrouded Fable, which a lot of people aren't discussing, is the ancillary cards that are in the set as well. Now, Night Stretcher is a very, very competitive card. It's not selling for a ton right now, but continues to be bought up quite a bit on TCG Player because it's a staple in so many different decks. That's worth about $1.50 if you got a reverse holo. So that adds up because you're getting, 3, 4, 5 of them in a booster box sample size. Dusknoir, another holographic rare that's in the set, also doing very well. When it comes to Scarlet and Violet, with every booster pack containing a holo rare, it's very difficult for a holographic card to have any value associated with it. But that Dusknoir, because it is so competitive, does extremely well. That one's got about $1 associated with it. And those holo energy cards, which come every few packs, you get about 50 cents a piece for all of those. So if you add all that up, your ancillary value when it comes to your booster box sample size is about $10. That means if you add that to your ultra rare value of $93.40, your average value per 36 pack packs, you could expect to pull about $103.40 worth of value. That means your target pack price, what you want to pay per booster pack, is about $2.87. If you did that, that basically means, hey, I'm going to average out where I'm pulling the value out of this pack. Remember, that brings that average pack price down considerably. Unfortunately, Shrouded Fable is a little bit more expensive than that. It's not quite at that point. You can buy 4 ETBs. The lowest price point on TCG Player is $125.96. That breaks down to about $31.49 per Elite Trainer box. You can probably buy them cheaper, especially if you buy them by the case on eBay or at a local game store or online somewhere. 6 booster bundles would also give you 36 booster packs. This is your cheapest route right now. You're looking at about $20.54 as the lowest price point on TCG Player. Again, you could buy a case of 20 of them, or you could probably buy them cheaper, maybe on eBay or maybe on other places online. Remember, your target price is $2.87 per booster pack. This isn't quite that good, but this is still very close to that $20.54 for a booster bundle. Gives you 6 packs. 6 of those will give you 36 packs, or you can just buy loose packs. Right now, your cheapest price point on TCG Player is $3.47. Again, you might be able to buy 36 pack lots on eBay for cheaper or other places, but you're looking at about $124.92 right there. So your fun cost, when it comes, remember, we attribute a fun cost to opening up Pokemon cards, because you should never expect to get your value back. It's actually really, really strong. You're looking at $19.84 per 36 packs. So if you go have a little bit of fun, open up some packs, you crack 36 packs of Shrouded Fable, you can expect to lose about $20. Is that $20 worth the fun that you had opening the packs? That's up for you to decide, but I wanted to put this data out there so that way you can make the best decision when it comes to spending your collection budget. Shrouded Fable doing a lot better than I think a lot of people give it credit for. There's a lot of really strong cards in the set, a lot of really competitive cards in the set, which we don't typically see with these half sets. So I wanted to make sure to mention it so that way you guys had the information to make the best decision when it comes to spending your collection budget. I hope you liked the data. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like, leave a comment. It goes a really long way for the algorithm. But most importantly, thank you just for taking the time to listen to me ramble about this data. I love this stuff. I love you guys. Thank you so much for everything. You guys are awesome. We'll be back on Tuesday with another video. Until next time, peace.